All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Racing League Cup Series here at Richmond. This is race number 7 of 12. It's also going to be the last race for this Cup Series before the Christmas and New Year's break. So the driver's going to want to finish off the calendar year, I should say, with a solid run tonight. Say again, another tricky track here with, as we mentioned, say with the short track run we've been having with Phoenix, Iowa, now Richmond tonight. Drivers have been saying this setup is definitely on the loose side, so they're going to have to be pretty much driving this thing with an egg under the throttles, kind of the way you refer to. Got to be real gentle with that throttle to try to get the power down and not too aggressive, or else it's just going to snap around on you. So drivers right now making their qualifying laps here. Point standings up the top, as you can see. Larry Yingling still leading the way there with a 36-point lead over Chad Wilkes. Chad able to close that gap a little bit with that win last week at Iowa. But again, though, he's going to still have definitely some work to do this evening to try to close that gap even further. You got Maxwell Caldwell, though. You can see he's gained a spot in the points along with Brandon Pasalacqua. Unfortunately, David Payton, he drops to the 5th spot. In 6th, you've got Jack Walls, Andrew Pleshy in 7th, Todd Merkel 8th, Robbie Richards in 9th, and Jim Brooks rounds out our top 10 in the points here. So again, race distance going to be 100 laps tonight. We'll see what everybody's got in store for us this evening, because again, this is going to definitely be a really challenging one, I think, for most of the drivers. Just trying to balance that, just the feel for the car and figure out where you need to put the car and kind of get that ideal braking points and hit your marks and all that kind of stuff. So I believe everybody that's going to make a qualifying lap has completed it, so we should be getting things going here in just a moment. Hope you are all having a wonderful week. As I know, for a lot of kids, about to be the start of their winter break. So hopefully you're able to wrangle the little ones as best you can while you're probably still at work as well. So, we'll keep an eye on things on track. Looks like, sure enough, looks like everybody's just about finished up here. And then we will get that grid up in just a moment. Alright, so as you can see, here is our starting grid for tonight's event. On pole position is going to be that number 82 of Andrew Pileshi, able to hold off the 67 of Larry Yingling, who's going to start from the outside of the front row. In 3rd, you've got Maxwell Caldwell there, Ryan Kelly in 4th. In 5th, Brandon Pasalacqua, Chad Wilkes in 6th, Will Eastman in 7th, and Dean Wilkinson in the 8th position. Alright, so just wait for the field to get all joined up here, and we'll get things underway in just a moment. So really tight between the top 5 drivers, all within a 1/10 of a second. The gap between Larry Yingling and Andrew Pleshy was actually only basically 0.014 of a second, so basically 14 thousandths of a second here. Lap times right around the mid to low 21 marks for the front runners. We'll definitely see that pace drop off as the runs go on here, but pit strategy is going to definitely be important as well, because we know tires are going to definitely play a role in this one. But the other thing, of course, is going to be track position. I think it's going to be a difficult one to pass. And, of course, attrition. I think it's going to be a difficult one for these drivers to try to just kind of hang on to these cars here tonight. So they're going to have to be real careful with their throttle usage and see what they can do this evening, as the field's just starting to roll off down the front stretch. right, pace car is about to pull in, which is going to put it into the hands of the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. Actually, no, as I say that, we're going to go around one more time. If we're out with the short track, we actually have the two laps around. So make sure everybody's able to get gridded up and everything will be all settled in there. So you can see that number 82 car on the inside line there, get in the pole position. So again, right behind him is Maxwell Caldwell in the 94. We got our points leader, Larry Yingling, up on the top side in that number 67 machine. And then right behind him, that number 13 of Ryan Kelly. Ryan's kind of, I was bugging him a little bit before the racing where he's disappeared too. So he's been kind of taking care of a few things, making some changes to his setup. So looking forward to seeing him run again here this evening. Hopefully he's able to have a good result as well. Saying that we can kind of finish off the calendar of the year strong and hopefully get him back full time here the rest of the season. Now the pace car is in. Now it's up to Andrew Pileshi. The green flag is in the air. And you can see a little bit of tire spin from those drivers up front, but they get things going. Looks like so far a pretty clean start here. But now we'll see though. It was kind of what we saw at Iowa. Larry Yingling gets a huge run on that top side, keeps the momentum up, and it looks like he may grab this lead entering turn number 3. And yeah, sure enough, Larry Yingling going to grab the lead off of turn number 4. So unfortunately for Andrew Pileshi does not lead that first lap. I think that's actually what happened last week at Iowa as well. Now I got a good fight here right between the two of the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell and then the 82 of Andrew Pileshi in ring 3. Maxwell's going to grab that spot from him. So move Maxwell now up into the 2nd position. So far it seems like Andrew not having the initial start off as he was hoping for. Maybe just got bogged down a little bit on that inside line, but definitely has been able to settle in pretty nicely here. I'm saying so far everybody on track looks like pretty much all running single file here. I'm saying it's kind of what you're going to expect to see here at Richmond. Just again, which is what the way this track is. It's really tough to run this one 2x2. So these drivers just doing what they can here early on. You can see they snuck away just a little bit there from that 13 of Ryan Kelly here. Again, we kind of joke about Mr. Ryan Kelly being Mr. Tire Save. Also, Chad Wilkes is really in that boat. So these guys, I think, might be in that mindset right now, is to try to see if they can just bide their time, kind of take care of these tires, and then really go after it a little later on in the run. But right now, you can see though that's let these top 3 sneak away to about a 1.5 second gap over Ryan Kelly, growing a little bit now to almost 4 seconds, almost 2 seconds. Getting a little off on my numbers there. But yeah, so right now things holding pretty steady here up front. And saying again, not too much change in the track position with drivers so far early on in this race. Somehow though, actually as I said, here comes the 17 of Chad Wilkes. He's going to take it to the inside of Ryan Kelly. Oh, a little bit of contact there off of 4. So I think they're both going to get away with those. At short track sets. It's not too big of a hit there. I feel like, especially, I don't think it's going to affect either of the cars. Probably just cost the 13 a little bit of momentum there. But so you can see it's allowed Brandon Paslock with the get by now. Will Eastman trying to follow suit as well here. So you got kind of a train of cars actually right here behind. Looks like I think right now David Payton, the last in this group here, in that number 38 spot, the number 38 car started 14th, currently running in 13th. So he's got a lot of cars in front of him here. A little jump from the hood of that car. Or roof of that car, I suppose is more accurate. But you can see though, they've got pretty much a train right now from about 4th to that 13th position here. Is again, like I said, just difficult to pass. To say just really, it's just got to hit your marks is the best way to get things done. And actually, we missed some stuff up front because we have a new leader up front. You see the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. He's got the lead now over the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. So you see Larry Yingling, he's fallen back a little bit in that 67 car. Wondering Larry may have had a moment to say, unfortunately missed that while we're going through the field a little bit there. But right now though, so Larry's strung in the 3rd spot, still definitely within reaching distance of the guys up front of him. But then also just noticed a pretty good battle there with Will Eastman. He was fighting, trying to grab some spots there, and actually Kevin Hash as well. Kevin right now looks like he just got around the 55 of Dean Wilkinson. So move Kevin up into the 8th spot. trying to take a look, see what's going on around on track. Say Andrew Pleshy definitely not letting the pressure up on Maxwell here. So you can see it's just about a tenth or two of a second between the two of them here. As they try and poke around through the field a little bit to also see where we might have some battles going on. And say it looks like some close racing here. Yeah, still say this group here is still all right bundled together here. And say you still see Jim Brooks there right behind Todd Merkel, and as I mentioned, David Payton right there as well. I'll say you see the 9 of Charles Johnson. He's kind of in a nice little clean area here, just kind of off on his own right now in that number 9 machine. So you got a couple seconds in front of him, a couple seconds behind him, so he can kind of just focus on his own race right here and just not worry about anybody around him, which is probably a nice thing to have at this point in this race here at Richmond. Good battle here for the 8th position. Roy Grandy now right behind that number 03 of Kevin Hash. This would be for the 8th position. And you can see just the difficulty of these passes. I think you almost have to just try to keep the pressure on the driver, maybe force him into a bit of mistake, and then it's probably your best bet to try to make something happen. Say track position wise, not a lot of track position changes here. I think one of the bigger movers, which is kind of an off way of saying it, it looks like only maybe about 4 spots for Michael Spell right now might be the biggest climber from 19th to 15th in that number 88 machine. So I'm saying further up the field, it's only 2 spots, but I mean that's the same similar situation for Chad Wilkes. Started 6th up to 4th. So he's also one of our bigger movers, especially the ones of those towards the front of the field here. Let's jump back over to Maxwell Caldwell, because he definitely is still, like I said, he just hasn't been able to shake that 82 of Andrew Pleshy. Andrew's trying to put the pressure back onto him here. We've got about 7. This will be lap 17 now, starting lap number 18. So a good start to the race for these guys. Kind of a similar situation as Iowa, where a lot of spins while we were watching in practice, and I think the drivers kind of learned what they can and can't do. I think that's kind of then given them kind of the idea of how aggressive they can be in these races. I think I saw Kevin Hash. Yeah, we got a good battle going on here now. So you see Dean Wilkinson. So you can see Roy Grandy. He did get that spot from the 03 of Kevin Hash. But now Dean Wilkinson was trying to follow through there, but now you see he's gotten extremely loose in that 55 car. Had to chase it down to the apron. So that's going to allow Jim Brooks to get around him for position. So that's going to move Jim right now up into the 10th position, I believe. And so now he's going to try to work on that 03 for the 9th spot. So it looks like it's going to be about +3 for Jim here since the start of the race as well. So good couple of opening laps for that 76 car as well. Jump back to our leaders, because they are not too far away from catching some lap traffic. You see those two right in front of them now. It's going to be Jason Bridges and Ted Decker Jr. Jason actually started from the pits, so he was already kind of having to fight that from the get-go. So Jason just trying to recover, I feel like, from starting in the pits. He's already 1 lap down, so unfortunately this could put him 2 down. So I think you're going to see a little bit of aggression from that 2. Try to get around the 79 of Ted Decker Jr. However, you can see, though, got a little bit loose, and Maxwell had to react to that. Looks like they're all going to jump to the highest side here, let the leaders by on the inside line. Again, a lot of, as I say, that almost a big moment there with the 67 there of Larry Yingling. So it looks like he's just barely able to squeak through that. We saw Ted Decker Jr., he got loose there out of turn number 4. Almost caught the 82 Andrew Pleshy as well. Maybe caught the side just a little bit of the 67 of Larry Yingling. But again, great job by these drivers, able to hang on to that there. Actually, I see the 6 of Bud Steele. This is an early pit stop for him. Probably not a scheduled one either. But that 6 car, really good looking paint scheme with the Christmas theme on that car. But not what he wants to be, though, for the pit stop strategy here. Also with that, while that was all going on, Larry Yingling has gotten around Andrew Pleshy, though, so move Larry back up into that 2nd position, still behind this 94 Maxwell Caldwell. Chad Wilkes starting to close that gap a little bit, I think, with the leaders. Once everybody gets back into clean air here, we'll try to take a look at the lap times and see who's faring with everything right now. But right now, that that 94 car is definitely holding strong up in the front. So I haven't talked too much yet about Brandon Pasalakwa. Say Brandon's right now showing in 5th, right where he qualified. So he's only about 3.5 seconds off the lead, so really solid run for him in that 23 machine. Behind him, we mentioned a little earlier, Ryan Kelly there in the 6th spot. Say Ryan started in 4th, dropped a couple spots, but again, we kind of talked about Ryan Kelly with the long run pace he has in that 13 car, so we'll see if that comes into fruition tonight as well. Behind him, the 120 of Will Eastman started 7th, currently in 7th position. The nice thing for Will, though, is he's got a nice gap over those cars in front of him, which now is going to be led by the 38 of David Payton. So, say David Payton is able to get through that gaggle and go from 14th on the starting grid here now up into the 8th position. So a really good set of opening laps for him, as well as we're approaching the 3rd point of the race here. But as we mentioned, Roy Grandy, he's still holding pretty solid in the 9th spot. And Jim Brooks still hanging on to that top 10, but he's got a lot of pressure now behind him. You can see actually the 9 of Charles Johnson. He's closed the gap to those guys in front of him. You see he's gotten around a couple of them. So now he's working on trying to get the 81 of Todd Merkel here. This would be for the 11th position. And then also right behind him is that 55 of Dean Wilkinson trying to recover back as well. And every time I go and look to see what's going on around the track, I'll say someone has a lead battle position change. So unfortunately, I missed another one. Larry Yingling, though, he's going to take over that top spot over Maxwell Caldwell. I think he may have gotten by him just a lap or two ago. But looking at the lap times, though, Larry's really starting to put down the pace again, showing about a 1/10 of a second quicker than Maxwell and Andrew the last time by. However, Chad Wilkes still running pretty solid lap times at the 17 car. Only one of the two in the 22.6s right now in this point of the race. You can see those top 4 all together separated by about 2.5 seconds from 1st to 4th here. So the last time by, though, Maxwell Caldwell, he picked up the pace to get into the 22.6s as well. So Maxwell definitely not going to give up here. Going to do what he can as well. But I think strategy-wise, we saw with Iowa, we're kind of getting that same long green flag run. Hopefully no commentators curse on that one. These drivers doing an awesome job here early on in the going. We had a couple early pit stops. One with, we mentioned Bud Steele, also Ted Decker Jr. Hit the pits. I think he may have retired. I'm not seeing him on track in that 79 machine anymore, unfortunately. But right now, so actually the only 2 cars a lap down are the 34 of Jason Bridges and the 6 of Bud Steele, both of which who are actually 2 laps down as things run here. So another car that's still really quick on track is that 38 of David Payton. Actually, apologies for the yelling in the background. David Payton actually was the quickest car on track that last time by, as he's just gotten around Will Eastman. So moved David now up into the 7th spot. Again, started in the 14th position, so he's +7 since the start. So a great start for him. Charles Johnson also in that number 9 machine has gone from 16th to 10th there. So he's been able to get around some of those guys as well. May have been kind of taking care of those tires early on and is really taking advantage of them here now. Looks like, again, another driver with this earlier pit stop than I would have expected, the 76 of Jim Brooks. He's hitting the pits here. We're on lap 36 here, so 65 to go. So he's already going to get put a lap down by the 67 of Larry Yingling. So I'm going to probably also go 2 down through this pit stop cycle here. But we'll jump back over to Charles Johnson because he's starting to put the pressure on the number 18 of Roy Grandy. This would be for the 9th position. Help Charles keep that charge moving on forward. You see that 18 got a little tight off of turn number 2. That might just be enough for 18 to get a nose. Can't quite do it yet. But you can also see the fresher tires, though, of the 6 of Bud Steele. He wants to try to move his way forward, take advantage of those fresher tires. But it's just, again, not a lot of passing room in this track, so he's kind of unfortunately right now pinned behind that number 9 machine. Now Bud Steele's going to get underneath that number 18 car. As you can see, he's trying to kind of follow the 9 through there of Charles Johnson. But so move Charles now up into that 9th position. Todd Merkel, he's trying to follow through. Todd started in 12th, trying to get into that top 10 here. Looks like he might get it done here through 1 and 2. Also got a good battle here. Brandon Pasolaco just got passed there by Ryan Kelly. Move Ryan up into the top 5 here. So again, we'll watch. I say again, I'm going to be here to see what their lap times are for these top 5. It's pretty much kind of back and forth between a couple of these guys. Ryan Kelly, we'll see how his lap is. Last time by, Maxwell Caldwell's maybe about a couple hundredths quicker than Larry Yingling. And as I say that, Larry goes about a tenth of a second quicker than his previous lap. So now Larry running in the 22.7s as well as Maxwell. I'm saying Ryan Kelly also in the 22.7s as well. So right now those are look to be the fastest 3 on track at the moment, that are on the lead lap, I should say. But again, the leaders are starting to get into some more traffic here. Just got around the 78 of Nicholas Winook there behind Larry Yingling. Next up on his list is going to be the 88 of Michael Spell. And I mean, yeah, just Larry's putting on a really solid pace right now. We saw him drop back a little bit earlier on, had to may have had a mistake and had to recover from that regroup, and he's definitely done that here. So now it's just kind of, again, just trying to get through the traffic as best as possible. And so the next question, of course, is going to be the pit strategy. It's going to be a similar situation as Iowa, I feel like here. We're already approaching the halfway point in the race here. We already are at lap 43 now, which is going to leave us 58 to go. So it won't be too long before drivers could maybe think about making a pit stop and breaking this race into half. But again, though, the risk of going a lap or more down here at Richmond definitely is something to keep an eye on. So we might see some alternate strategies like we saw at Iowa. Or at the same time, we might see drivers just try to stretch it out as far as they can, because it definitely worked for some drivers. The short pit strategy worked well for Chad Wilkes. But I feel like, again, I think you can pass a little bit easier at Iowa than you can here at Richmond. You'll see Larry's definitely caught up in a lot of traffic here. He's got the 48 and the 55 right in front of them. And you can see, though, behind him, Jim Brooks, one of those earlier pit stops, he's trying to make hay of those fresh tires, see if he can at least get one of the 2 laps back, because obviously if you get trap 2 down, that's going to make your life just that much more difficult. So he's going to see if he can close that gap. I mean, he's running in the 22.4s right now, a couple of tenths quicker than the 67 car, so he can get there. Just he has to obviously make sure he can get there before anything happens on track, unrelated to what he's got going on, obviously. As you see, Larry gets big loose there out of turn 2, trying to get underneath the 48 of James Ledford. So that's going to open the door, I think, for Jim Brooks to try to get a solid exit out of 4. He's going to try to get the power down. You can see already going to peek his nose underneath, let Larry know he's looking. Again, Larry right now, he's got about a 1.5 second lead over Maxwell. I don't think, like you see, he's not going to fight him too hard there. So Jim Brooks is going to get one of those 2 laps back, so he's back down just to 1 down here in that number 676 car. Chad Wilkes in 4th position still. He's running. Leaders are their paces are starting to drop again. So their fastest lap was pretty much a mid 21, 24, 21.4, 21.5 for the fastest guys. They're down into the 23s now for some of them. Some are still holding on to the high 22s. So you can see, though, the time fall off, though, between the fast laps and where they're currently at. It's about a 1.5 seconds so far. We'll have to see if that's going to kind of settle out or not, but this will be the opportunity for some of these drivers to take advantage. As you can see, the traffic that Larry Yingling's in, he was just able to get around Roy Grandy. Now he's working on the 12 of Robbie Richards. Next up looks like it's going to be Kevin Hash in that 03 car. And as I say that, actually, as soon as Roy Grandy went a lap down, he went ahead and pitted here, which is pretty much actually right at the halfway mark of the race here. Next time by, we're going to be at the halfway point. So we'll see if anybody's going to maybe try that split in half strategy, or if they're going to maybe try going long like a lot of drivers did at Iowa. So again, it's kind of you have the options, and say it's a risk versus reward, definitely, as Larry leads the halfway point of this race. But traffic definitely playing a role right now for these leaders here. Just how well they can get through them is definitely playing a big part in this one. Again, we talked about some of the drivers having great runs early on, and it's just the pace that Larry's putting down. You see Charles Johnson, he's going to hit the pits. He was in the top 10. Again, he had gained 6 spots since the start of the race. Michael Spell's going to pit as well. So this is the halfway strategy that we had talked about some of these drivers maybe would be employing, and so that's exactly what we're seeing here. But again, though, it's the risk versus reward right now. Say if you're one of these top 5 guys, you love the idea of making a strategy call, but at the same time, you're really nervous about getting possibly trapped a lap down if somebody just maybe gets a little too aggressive on the throttle and loops their car around. Jump over to the 82 of Andrew Pleshy in 3rd position. Say he is about just under 5 seconds off of Larry Yingling, pole sitter for tonight's event here. I'll say he's got about 2 seconds or so off of Maxwell Caldwell. Say Maxwell again, he's trying to hold steady with Larry. He's done a really good job actually. Maxwell's still just over 2 seconds behind Larry, about 2.5 now. But again, just watching a lot of times, it's been pretty even between them. Say the lap times are dropping even further now, down into the 22.9s. A lot of drivers starting to fall into the 23-second bracket as well here. But yeah, and say actually this time Maxwell is able to get a 22.8 there. So say they can still, and they have some clean air and they can run some pretty clean laps. They can definitely put some time down. But yeah, it's just getting through the traffic has been, I think, really the tough part for a lot of these drivers. Say Ryan Kelly, as I was about to say, he's closing the gap on Chad Wilkes in the 17 car. Chad's gonna pit here again, just a little bit past halfway, and again, this is what worked for Chad at Iowa. So he was able to pit early, use those fresh tires to get his lap back, and then there was a caution, but by the time the caution came out, everybody had already made their pit stops, and so he was able to actually cycle out with a lead just due to those fresher tires in that number 17 car. So we'll see. Maybe the same thing could happen again for him tonight. I'm sure he'll be hoping for that. Because right now, though, like I said, though, Larry Yingling's just putting down a torrid pace, working and putting a lap now on the 81 of Todd Merkel. I'm saying we're going to have over, I think, less than the top 10 still on the lead lap, I believe. Right now, Todd's showing as the last car on the lead lap here. As Chad Wilkes is back on track, only 1 lap down, so he did not go 2 down, so that's something that's good to know for the drivers that are maybe a little further towards the front, maybe not as risky to get trapped 2 down, as that's definitely going to be a big potential though to worry about for those guys. But definitely right now, though, again, everybody doing a really solid job here early on. Say David Payton, he's currently showing again, he hasn't made a pit stop yet, but he's showing in the 6th position. Started in the 14th spot, so he is +8 since the beginning of the race, so great job by him in that 38 machine. Right now on track, I am showing 10 cars that have yet to make their pit stops. Let's say, so obviously everybody that's on the left side of your screen there, you see from Robbie Richards on up, have all yet to make their pit stops. Ryan Kelly, though, he's going to be one of our second of our leaders, I should say, to make his pit stop here. Pitted just a couple laps there after the 17 of Chad Wilkes. So he's pitting here with about 40 to go on the timing scoring there. So he's obviously going to lose a lap here to that 67 of Larry Yingling. However, should only go 1 down though. So again, say that's one of the bigger risks is if you get trapped 2 down. But so far, I say again, so far still clean and green. Say 40 to go already in this race. These drivers again putting on a really good pace here early on. I think just right now just racing the racetrack pretty much. Say Maxwell again still holding about 2.5, 3 seconds behind that number 67 of Larry Yingling. Just it really depends on where they catch the traffic. That's kind of where the ebb and flow is of the distance between the two of them. As you see there, I believe that was Jason Bridges. He's hitting the pits there in the number 34. Number 2, I should say. And actually, as I say that, we do have a caution. Trying to see if there's anybody stopped on track. Haven't found what it was yet. But again, that was the risk, and that's the risk of those cautions. So let's see if I can find what happened here. Put us under our first caution here with 38 laps to go. Alright, I have found the caution. Unfortunately, it is going to involve one of our front runners, the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. So just one of those situations, new tires versus old tires. You'll see Charles Johnson, he's going to send it on the inside of that number 82. Get the 12 Robbie Richards there on the outside. Say Andrew's focused on the 12 car. Say Charles sent it in pretty deep there. It looked like into turn number 3. And so that's going to be enough to bring out the caution. See, Andrew makes a little bit of has the contact in the right rear that makes some, or left rear that makes some contact with the outside wall. So that's what brought out the caution. He's able to get pointed back straight really quickly. So that was, I mean, probably the best case scenario for him there in the 82 car. And of course, the other thing here is he'll still be on the lead lap, so he's going to be able to either do a fast repair or get his damage repaired manually. Let's say they do have the one fast repair that they can use here. Let's say 81 of Todd Merkel, he's getting the wave around here, so he's going to get back onto the lead lap without having to take a wave around, so that's a huge break for him in that number 81 machine. Now we got our leaders here making their pit stops, so it looks like about 6 drivers. It'll be 7 with Todd Merkel for those that stayed on the lead lap through that green flag cycle. So, yeah, pretty much was a non-question. I feel like that Larry was going to hang on to lead through the pit stop cycle. He had a pretty good buffer of lap cars between himself and Maxwell there. So now the question is going to be for some of these drivers that are a lap or more down. Do they stay out to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap, or do they decide they need the fresher tires here? It's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Looks like Jim Brooks, he's going to hit the pits, as is Roy Grandy. So some of those drivers decided that they'd rather stay trapped a lap down and then get fresher tires. We got a handful that are going to stay out to take that wave around, including the 12 of Robbie Richards. As we mentioned, of course, with the short pit strategy, unfortunately, the 17 of Chad Wilkes doesn't work out like he'd have been hoping for this time around. 13 of Ryan Kelly, of course, to say both these drivers pitted within less than 10 laps to go, or 10 laps to go. So definitely makes sense for them to stay out there. So that should give us, I believe, 10 or so cars back onto the lead lap. And then we're going to have other cars that are staying out to give themselves at least maybe gain one of those laps back as well, to maybe go from 2 down to 1 down and so on. So we'll have a handful of drivers that are just 1 lap down. Looks like all of them, for the most part, took tires. Jim Brooks in the 76, he took tires, is going to be, I believe, the first car 1 lap down. 03 of Kevin Hash, he took tires as well. So he's going to restart right behind Jim in the 12th position. And also Michael Spell and James Ledford, they're also going to be taking the wave around. However, they're going to be taking the wave around to get to 1 lap down. So they're going to be on slightly older tires than that 76 and the 03 car. All right, so say this is going to be our first restart. So again, Larry Yingling is going to have control of this restart. He can choose to go when he is ready. So you see a few of those cars catching back up to the field. There's a lot of cars still taking the wave around here. But yeah, so again, Larry's got control when he wants to drop. Once that pace car leaves the racing surface, it's up to his discretion. So we'll see if he's able to get a solid restart here. We saw he was able to hold on to the lead from the outside. We'll see if Maxwell can do anything with him on this start as well. So far, looks like Larry's going to be able to clear the 94 entering turn number 1. But however, Andrew Pleshy, though, he's going to send it into turn number 1 here, and he's going to move up into that 2nd position. So taking a look, I think the 82 did not decide to use the fast part. I feel like I still see a little bit of a crinkle on that right front fender. And also a little bit on the left rear quarter panel as well. Let's say again, I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. Let's say, especially at a short track like this. But as I say that, 94 of Maxwell Caldwell, he's going to grab that 2nd spot right on back from him. Again, we mentioned that driver earlier on, though, David Payton. Say he's moved up now into that top 5 position. Again, he started in 14th up into 5th, so +9 for him so far in this race. Again, a really good job by him to kind of steadily make his way forward in this one. And say for drivers that are those that are a lap down or more right now, Jim Brooks is actually just holding onto that spot over the 03 of Kevin Hash. I'll say this is going to be the battle to get back onto the lead lap between those two of them. Should we get another yellow? So right now advantage goes to that 76 of Jim Brooks. Say in front of him, Todd Merkel in that number 7 and the number 81 machine showing in 7th. He was the one that got that wave around. Huge break for Todd. Say he's now gone from 12th to 7th. I'll say he had pretty good long run pace in that number 81 machine as well. I think just that qualifying position to kind of just set him back a little bit early on as well. So he's now back into the lead pack here. Only about 4 seconds off the lead here. With that wave around, he had to start in the back, of course. So it's definitely not going the way he wants to with the distance of cars in front of him. That's just unfortunate, kind of the way things go, though. When you get that lucky dog, I guess that's kind of the penalty you take, is having to start behind the rest of the leaders. Back a little bit further forward here, you see Will Eastman in the 120. He's definitely keeping the pressure on the 30 of David Payne. It looks like David may have locked it up a little bit. They're entering 3. However, David gets a really strong exit there out of turn number 4. He's going to separate himself from that 120 just a little bit here. I was saying right now, the field's spreading out just a bit. Right now, again, you see Maxwell holding about 3 to 4 tenths of a second behind Larry Yingling here. Again, it's definitely going to be a much shorter run to the finish. Already coming across the line here, 25 to go. So right now, Larry leading over Maxwell, over Andrew Pileshi in that number 82. But Andrew's got his mirrors full of that 23 of Brandon Pasalacqua. And again, just have to wonder if maybe that little bit of damage might be affecting the 82 car. Maybe just not driving as well as it was with the fenders all kind of in the right position, if you will. Even with this being a short track, sometimes these cars are pretty aero sensitive. So right now, Andrew doing what he can, though, to hold on to that 3rd position. Field's getting pretty strung out here. You can see still, though, see some of these drivers definitely trying to fight for positions here. So you can see right now, Jim Brooks is a lap behind the field as he's behind one of the lead lap cars of the 81 of Todd Merkel. But at the same time, though, I'm sure Jim wants to try to get around the 81 car to kind of give himself a little bit of breathing room over the 03 of Kevin Hash. And actually, as I say that, caution comes back out, so that fighting that he was able to do was definitely paid off there. As unfortunately, we're back under yellow due to the number 2 of Jason Bridges. Looks like he definitely made some heavy contact with the back end of that car to the outside wall, I would guess. Take a look as he comes through the front stretch here, enters turn number 1, and just steps out on him there in that number 2 car. You can see, actually, looks like he's going to wind up hitting the inside wall here. Yeah, it catches the inside wall. That's going to send him right back on the track. And actually, no, it's not the outside wall that gives him the damage. It's 17 of Chad Wilkes there. And then the outside wall. So Chad, unfortunately, just wrong place, the wrong time. He's definitely going to have to use a fast repair in that number 17 car. See Ryan Kelly just sneak by there as well. See a few of those drivers getting to the top side. As we're going to have a little bit of a split strategy here on the pit stops. Larry Yingling, he's going to stay out, and he's going to be a very lonely man, because it looks like the whole field behind him is going to go ahead and pit here for tires. So this will be a caution with about 20 to go. So, I mean, we're going to restart within 20 to go for sure, but Larry's going to have about 15 lap older tires than the rest of the field here. So Maxwell going to win the race out of the pits there with those 4 tires. See Jim Brooks catching up to the field. He got that wave around, so he's back onto the lead lap as well, which is going to give us 10 cars on the lead lap. Saying there's going to be a lot of drivers that are going to be pretty upset about that caution, or not the caution coming out, but the 67 Larry Yingling not pitting, because had he pitted with the rest of the field, there would have been a lot of drivers that could have got at least one of their laps back, like a Kevin Hash, a James Ledford, Michael Spell. They could have all taken a free wave around here and put themselves back to either one lap down or on the lead lap as well. So say that 67 staying out definitely may have played a role in some of these drivers' strategies for the end of this race. So I think this is going to even the playing field out a good bit here. I mean, we've seen Larry's probably been probably the quickest car on track here. However, again, he's going to now have to try to hold off these drivers behind him on older tires. Again, not a huge difference, but about 15 laps, and so that could definitely play a difference. So say it's going to be almost a sprint to the finish here. You can see Larry actually trying to make sure what kind of traction he has on this restart with those slightly worn tires, as Maxwell's going to roll up to the outside of that 67. We're still on the 2 to go here. Haven't got the 1 to go yet. You can see the 82 Andrew Pleshy. So we'll take a look. I think he still has a slight damage to his car. Went ahead and left it still. So we mentioned 17 of Chad Wilkes. To say he went ahead and had to use that fast repair. So unfortunately, though, it cost him a lot of track position. Now you can see he has fallen back now to the 8th position, where he was. I believe he was in the top 5 there prior to that contact. So just a bad break for Chad. Just wrong place, wrong time there with that issue for Jason Bridges, who unfortunately looks like he has retired from the event as well. Alright, so the field is starting to line up here 2 by 2. So we're going to be restarting this thing with 17 laps to go. Again, Larry Yingling, the only one to stay out, about 15 lap older tires than the rest of the field. So we're going to have to wait and see how that's going to come into play. If it does come into play, again, Larry's going to have control of this restart. So that's probably one of the best things he has going for him, is to be able to see if he can maybe get a better start than that 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. I think that's going to definitely be play a big role in this one. And you can see he goes early here. And again, Larry's able to clear that 94 car, able to get to the top. He's going to try to get that arc that he wants into the turn. And it looks like he is going to have a solid turn 1 here. Actually, we have a quick caution behind. Unfortunately, again, 17 of Chad Wilkes here. Just things cannot go right for him tonight. Let's go back and see what happened to him here. So you can see the 55, Dean Wilkinson. He came to stop to try to make sure he wasn't caught up in it. You see the 17 on the inside, and then you got the 81 behind him. You see Chad kind of trying to get into the inside there, and then just just kind of a different kind of drivers going for the same real estate, if you will, there between the 81 and the 17. Unfortunately, I think the 17 is going to get away with the damage for the most part. So it actually does take a pretty good shot in the left rear there from the 12 car Robbie Richards, and actually takes a couple of good shots there, unfortunately. But yeah, so not what. Let's say just kind of bad from bad to worse here for Chad Wilkes, unfortunately. So I suspect we'll see him in the pits that gets that damage repaired, and try to get back out on this. So you see Jim Brooks, he's going to hit the pits as well in the 76 machine. He had just gotten his lap back, so now he's going to be able to restart up front with the leaders. Going to be a big break for him there as well, to be able to now not have to start behind all the lap cars. And it looks like the first car that was, or the car that was the first car lap down under that yellow is the 48 James Ledford. So move James back up into the lead lap here in the 11th spot. So I think these cautions definitely going to be falling into the favor for Larry here. So with these short bursts, if you will, I think that's going to actually really help that 67. I think the longer run might be where you would see the 94 and company have a little bit more of an advantage on them. But and the other thing too, of course, is these laps under caution will allow Larry to cool those tires off even more, so to maybe get at least the temperatures kind of on par with Maxwell and company as well. So it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out on that one. But I'll say right now, Chad Wilkes, again, just trying to get as much damage as he can fixing that 17 car. Unfortunately, we saw there actually got multiple hits. Let's say it looked like he was going to get away with it for the most part. Then took a couple of solid shots to the left side, left rear, left front, unfortunately, for that number 17 machine. Alright, so we'll see next time around if we get the 2 to go or 1 to go. I'll say again, mention drivers on the lead lap. Obviously, you see on the ticker on the left as well, though. So pretty much everybody on the same strategy. Larry Yingling, again, about 15 lap older tires in that 67 cars. We do get the 1 to go here, so we're going to restart with the 11 laps to go. So we'll see again, Larry Yingling be taking the inside line. Also, will again have control of this restart. You see the 76 of Jim Brooks there. He is going to be restarting with the lead pack here in the top 10 as well. See, Chad Wilkes has gotten as much damage repaired as he can. He's going to be right outside of him, I believe, in the 11th spot, it's looking like. And then you'll see at the back of that grid group there, the 48 of James Ledford. He is the wave round, so he's got to restart behind all the lap machines. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get a good run here to the finish and see. Can Maxwell Caldwell, can he do anything with that 67 of Larry Yingling? Again, Larry's going to drop early here. He's going to get that spot. He needs to get himself cleared so he can get that nice entry into turn number 1, which he will do so. And say again, looks like he's got that nice arc that he wants to be able to try to maximize what he can. So now that everybody's kind of settled in again with their positions, we'll see what Maxwell can do with, or Andrew, and see if they can chase that 67 down here. See on the entry there to turn number 1, Maxwell able to close the gap just a little bit here. And again, you're going to see these drivers try to get right to that yellow line without getting onto the apron here, as we got 9 laps to go. And so you're going to also see it's interesting to note kind of the different lines that you'll see the drivers take and where they kind of hit that the yellow line to kind of hit that apex, if you will. And say Larry looks like he's got a little bit of a later entry to get to the yellow line there than Maxwell. But you can see, though, those slightly fresh tires for Maxwell is really helping that thing rotate through the turns. So I think he's going to definitely be able to put the pressure on that number 67 of Larry Yingling. Just got to get close enough where he can maybe try to get his nose in there to kind of just show Larry that he's there. See, he's getting right to there. Gets loose off of turn number 4, though. He's going to send it to the inside. Couldn't quite get his nose underneath before Larry's able to get to the inside. But really good battle here right now between the top 2 as we're now 7 to go. Coming to the line is going to be 6 laps remaining here at Richmond. Say Maxwell Caldwell trying to see if he can find a way to get underneath that number 67 of Larry Yingling. See if maybe he can try to grab this race lead here late and pull off a win tonight at Richmond. And you see deep into turn number 3, contact between the 2 leaders. Larry's going to go around. Maxwell looks like he had to back out as well. Fortunately, it's going to put us under a caution here with 5 to go. So you see Larry's going to try to loop that car back around. Probably will have to use the faster pair as well. So the beneficiary of this is going to be the 82 of Andrew Pileshi here. Again, you can still see he's got a little bit of still from that earlier contact where he's got some of that damage as well from the contact, I believe, with the 9 car. They're going to have to wait for the pace cars. You can see the pace cars way in the back here with Brand Pasalacqua. What this is going to do, though, is this is going to put us into the first attempt of a green-white checkered finish here. So, again, we do have up to 3 attempts, and we'll see if anybody's going to make some pit stops here. So I'm not sure if the pits were open that time, and I think they might just be trying to catch to the pace car. And actually, no, as I said, the pits were open. So I see a few takers here. First, which is being Will Eastman. He's going to be the first taker to put some tires on his car. Ryan Kelly in the 13 as well. Unfortunately, as we mentioned, we kind of expect to see happen there as Larry Yingling has hit the pits as well to get use that faster pair on that car. And then I believe the wave around is on its way, and it's going to be the 17 of Chad Wilkes. I think he may have gone a lap down trying to get damage repaired to his machine, so he's going to be able to get waved around here. Get back on the lead lap and probably again do some more damage repair, get some fresh tires, and see maybe just try to salvage the best finish as possible in that number 17 machine. Alright, apologies, we're talking about everything else going on. Let's go ahead and go back to look at that contact between the 67 and the 94. So you can see Maxwell sends it. So you can see Maxwell takes a peek to the inside again there. Say Larry's going to try to close the door, and unfortunately, say just again kind of fighting for the same real estate there. Say we're coming to 5 to go. So I mean, you knew there was going to definitely be aggression there to try to see if you can get that pass. You've got the fresher tires on the 67. You kind of feel like that's your opportunity to make something happen. So definitely unfortunately. I mean, you know, there was definitely no intention for the contact. Just hard racing between the two teammates here at Richmond. But yeah, so definitely unfortunate. Definitely not what either of them wanted to have happen there. So it's definitely gonna kind of bring things all to, gonna shake things up again a little bit here, as it's gonna bring Andrew Pileshi now up into lead as we're getting the 2 to go there that last time around. Again, though, we will be stretching this now into first attempt of a green-white checkered finish, though. So say this is our first attempt. So again, the way it works is if there is a caution that comes out before the white flag flies, they'll stack up the field, re-rack them, and try it again up to 2 more times. However, if we get to the third attempt, if there's a caution before the white flag flies, from that point the race is frozen. That's where the field will finish. And for any of these attempts here, if the white flag flies, basically drivers are going to race back to the finish from then on. So let's say obviously if you're some of these drivers, you just want to see that white flag to be able to race it back to the finish. Other drivers are going to probably want to see if they can maybe catch a break with a caution, another caution or two, to move them a little bit further forward up in the field. So we'll have to wait and see. Strategy wise, Will Eastman, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and Chad Wilkes, those were all the drivers that pitted. The 17 of Chad Wilkes was one of those that he got the wave around, so he's went ahead, and he's now having to restart behind the leaders here. Larry's going to be restarting, unfortunately, in the 10th position on the outside in that number 67 car, so we'll see what kind of progress he can make in this short run to the finish. And we'll see, can Andrew Pileshi capitalize on this opportunity that's that he's kind of been put into here, because let's say he was our pole sitter, didn't get to lead a lap, but he's got a lap led under that caution, obviously. Now he's going to want to try to lead the final 2 laps here at Richmond. He is down and away, gets a good start again. You can see he does a similar as Larry England, gets that drive off and able to get the entry into turn number 1. And he's got a pretty good gap. Let's say he's able to hold right now over the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Behind him, drivers fighting hard for position. There you see Maxwell just able to hold off that number 23 Brennan Paslaka with 38 of David Payton. Oh, you see a big wiggle behind them. I say they're going to keep it straight though, so we're going to get the white flag here. So this is going to be the final time around here at Richmond. Right now, Andrew Pileshi leading the way. He's got a pretty comfortable margin over the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Behind them, though, all bets are off. As you see Larry Yingling, he's making a big move to try to see if he can get back up into the front here. As he comes out of turn number 4 with those fresh tires, gets a good traction off the end. He's going to try to get to the outside of Maxwell Caldwell. Can't quite get it done. I'll say while we're watching that battle, though, up front, though, Andrew Pileshi going to get the win here tonight. Getting the win at Richmond. I believe also, I want to say for sure, his first Area 51 win. I think may have also been the first pole for him as well. So I'll say a good way to, no, I don't think I think he's had a pole before, but Andrew Pileshi, though, getting the win here tonight at Richmond. And so you see a little bit of some bumpers rubbing and some tempers flaring a little bit there for some of those other drivers, because it was a bit of a wild finish there, the way things all shook out here at the end, with a few other drivers trying to celebrate and congratulate that number 82 machine. Alright, so I'll say we'll watch the 82 make his way around the track. We're gonna grab a couple of drivers here and have a chat with them. We're gonna definitely have a couple of differing opinions. So say winding up finishing in second and third are going to be those 2 drivers in that previous incident, the number 67 of Larry Yingling and the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. That's just kind of the way these races always seem to pan out, is you kind of have those contact and you just somehow wind up with that guy either the next race, as say in NASCAR, you seem like on the same truck together doing the kind of waving at the crowd and all that, or just starting next to each other in the races. And In this case, they're going to be finishing right together here in that second and third spots, respectively. And so we'll bring our number 67 of Larry Yingling down, have a word with him. Say never a fun one to have to do. Say hopefully he's had a chance to kind of cool off a little bit, and we can have a word with him and say with that race. I mean, obviously as a whole, I mean, a really good run for you tonight, Larry. Obviously qualified second, led most of the way there. Kind of similar situation as Iowa, where really long green flag run, kind of a couple mixed strategies. But then I say that caution kind of midway through the race, and then aggression definitely ramped up there at the end. So I'll say, obviously, what we're going to wind up having to talk about at some point. But before we get to that, I mean, take us through the race itself. We were talking pre-race about just how loose it was and kind of what we were worried about and what we were kind of expecting. But we had a really good, solid long green flag run there. I mean, how did the car feel for you for that first half or so of that race?
No, it felt pretty good. It really depended on how you drove it. If you drove it pretty hard, entering the corner, it was tight, entering and coming off. But if you just take it easy and uh, just use throttle control, it's definitely free off.
Yeah, it did seem like drivers were really ginger about the throttle on the eggs. Kind of like I made the comments earlier about kind of the egg on the throttle is kind of the way to strategize how you really want to kind of put that throttle down. You can't mash it because you're just going to roast those tires. And almost the same for entry too. If you get too aggressive on entry, you're going to burn the right front up. If you're too aggressive on the exit, you're going to burn the right rear. So it's just, I'm guessing on your end, it's just kind of having to kind of balance those two.
Yeah, for the most part, I know early in the race when I was in the lead, I got bumped a little by Maxwell, and uh, that roasted my right rear, but honestly, it didn't really affect me coming off the corner. I think it felt better because it helped it turn more.
Yeah, I was saying, I'll say we'll transfer. We'll kind of switch over to that. I'll say obviously, say we talked also about the pre-race, how you're kind of talking about how somehow you get stuck on the wrong strategy, and so say everybody went with the hey, let's do the opposite of Larry here. And so you stayed out there. Everybody else had pitted. I say it wasn't a huge gap. It was about a 15 lap difference, but I'm sure lap time wise, I'm sure it made a difference. And then just unfortunate contact between the two of you entering turn number 3. I mean, I guess take us through from your point of view, and then from there, of course, we got to talk about the rebound you had to be able to somehow restart 10th and make your way all the way back up to 3rd.
Yeah, me staying out, I was just thinking of Phoenix, how a caution late, I pitted, and some stayed out, and I just could never get by him. Then Iowa, we all pitted, but I was stuck behind Chad, who had a better strategy than me. He pitted like halfway through Iowa and was able to be in front of me when the caution came out late, and I just couldn't get by him. So I figured if I pit, people are going to stay out. If I don't pit, people are going to pit. So I was just on for the ride. But that last run before the second contact with Maxwell, I just had to drive perfect laps just to stay in front of him. I saw him slowly close in, and I saw him get loose a few times off of 2 especially, and I knew as long as I just kept doing what I was doing, at the very least, I'll finish second in the race. But entering 3 on when he made that contact, I saw how far back he was, and I saw him look low a little bit, but I didn't think he was close enough to do that. Then we just made contact entering the corner. I was fine with it. It was just a mistake on my part. I should have done a better job watching him. But that drive at the end, I was expecting this to hang on and get top 10, but a few people had a bad restart on the bottom. I passed like 3 cars before the line to take the green for the restart. I stayed up top, then passed more in 3, then someone got sideways, almost hit my left rear when he chased it up, but I believe, unfortunately, he got Ryan, my teammate, right behind me. Then at last lap, I was looking to make it 3 wide in the middle of Brandon and David Patton, and I thought better of it, especially off of 2 at Richmond. So I just took it easy, trying to get that run off, and I did, and swung it left, and I knew with a little bit better tires, as long as I don't overdrive entering 3, I can at least get a top 3. And nice interview with you.
Yeah, I mean, as you like I say, you definitely willed it to get to that top three. I say you'll continue your streak of top fives for all your races here. I say also, I mean, you'll lose obviously a little bit of points, not much though for Maxwell and Andrew. I say Chad Wilkes obviously didn't have the night he was looking for. He was in that he was in the second spot, I believe, entering tonight's race. So, say big picture wise, I mean, still again, I mean, obviously you're looking after race number 12 for the title. I mean, of course you want to win these races as much as you can, but to be able to do what you did to recover from that and get all the way up to third, I mean, that's a really good drive for you. I'm sure say a little bit of driving angry doesn't hurt the the speed on that number 67 car as well.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun that last 3 star. As long as I didn't get hit, it was a blast actually.
Yeah, so there's something about being able to kind of just work through the field. Say at least for my normal side on the when you're on fresher tires, it's kind of like, oh, this is nice being able to pass these people pretty easily. So you obviously did a really good job to regain as much as you could there on that one. And so even I had a chance to almost get back up to Maxwell, try to grab that second spot. So you only needed another lap, you would easily been able to get to him for that second position there. But yeah, I mean, again, just great recovery though, Larry. A really good race for you as well. So, like I said, kind of up and down, but able to finish really solidly. And I think it's going to keep that points lead pretty steady here. But definitely want to give you opportunity though. Any thanks, shouts you'd like to give there?
Definitely my teammates this race: Maxwell Caldwell, uh, Andrew Pleshy, great win by him. I knew he was gonna get one this season, but he got done tonight. Chad Wilkes, Ryan Kelly, and Kevin Hashbrown. And also shout out my friend Devin. I asked him what before this race. I asked him what lap a caution will come out to hurt my strategy, and he said lap 78, and it came out lap 78. So thank you, Devin, and appreciate you for the broadcast as always, and looking forward to next race.
All right. Well, after you're done here, say go try to get some lottery numbers out of him too, because I say he's got something going on there.
Yeah, I'll definitely try.
All right, have a good night, Larry. Great run again. So we'll have obviously a couple weeks break over Christmas and New Year's. I definitely look forward to seeing when you're back, and definitely enjoy the time though during the break though with friends, family, and yeah. Say we'll see you definitely in January.
Thank you, sir. You too.
All right. So say then we got to jump to the other side of things, which is going to be that 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. So we'll bring him on in here. Say Maxwell started from the third position, able to finish in second. Say you were definitely up front a lot of the race here. And then that opportunity came with those fresher tires to try to kind of almost even the playing field, if you will, a little bit with Larry. And I'll say it was a really good fight between the two of you, and it just looks like kind of you guys are going for the same real estate there. Larry definitely wasn't as mad as I thought he might be. I thought you were going to have to pit to get that damage repaired, but you didn't have to either. So you're able to hang on to that thing and grab a second place finish. I mean, take us through your night first, and then, of course, we'll talk about the last part of the race.
Man, first and foremost, just apologies to Larry. Got into him twice, but the first time was really, really weird. Just for some reason at the start of runs, I was always a little bit quicker than Larry, and then as the run went on, is when he really pulled away. And that first run, I kind of was just slowly inching up on him, And Larry's normally really, really good at Richmond, so I thought, man, if I'm keeping up with Larry, I'm doing something. And I was worried about the race coming in, not thinking I'd have enough speed, so I was kind of pleasantly surprised. So I get kind of close to him, and I almost thought it was net code, man. Like when we made the first contact and he saved it. I apologized so many times. And once he caught back up to me, I just pulled over and gave him back the spot because I said that's the least I could do after getting into him because that wasn't the way I wanted to race him. Didn't even mean to touch him, didn't even mean to bump him out of the way. Just kind of rolled the center and tapped him. So that was the first incident, and then just kind of ran about 2.5, 3 seconds back of him, slowly losing through lap traffic. I couldn't catch the lap cars very good. I was catching them on exit, and I was having to check up out of the throttle, and it was just killing me. But I don't think Larry was having a good time with them either, but he just had better speed on the long run. Was getting ready to make a green flag pit stop, and that one caution came out, so I was excited about that. Came down, got tires, and then we get maybe 7-10 laps into a run or something like that, and another caution comes out. Larry stays out, and I said, got to do the opposite. So I came down, got tires. Luckily, put me right in second with him, and I thought, yes, I'm already faster on the short run. We got a short run coming up. Should be good. Got a good restart, and then caution immediately came out and won. So that kind of took some laps away, which made the anticipation for me ramp up a little bit more, saying I got to get him, got to get him. Luckily, got another good restart on the outside. Don't know how I got those 2 good restarts, but got up there and hunted him down, and just I knew I was faster in 3. That's where I was always gaining on him, and I had the chance to get a nose underneath him. I thought if I show a nose, he's going to have to move up. And I mean, it's just like you said in the broadcast when I was listening. We just both went for the same real estate. He came down to arc the corner, which he wasn't doing nothing wrong there. I had the nose on him, which I didn't. I knew I slid in hard, but I mean, it's like 6 laps to go. Like, you got to do something. You can't just sit there and let Larry win every race of the season. You got to try. I wasn't trying to wreck him. And we just made contact in that time and just really sent him around and kind of pulled me up there with him and gave me that damage. So on that last restart, the car just pushed so hard, and Larry almost got back to me. But luckily, I was able to hold on for second. But congrats to Andrew for the win. First win in Area 51. That's pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like you said, it was a really good run. So you were able to hold steady with that damaged car and still be able to grab a really solid spot. Of course, getting that second place. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's Richmond. I'd say there's the whole meme and stuff, of course, with Logano and Hamlin saying it's just short track racing. But I mean, it is kind of to that extent. I mean, it's hard to pass here. We definitely saw it all night. It was definitely hard to make some moves. So when you've got the fresher tires and you've got the opportunity to pass somebody like Larry, I mean, you just got to take those opportunities because, like you said, I mean, it's tough to beat him heads up. So it's like, at least I say that's kind of where I sit. At least it seems like it's definitely a tricky spot. So if you got the opportunity to take advantage of a situation where you're on the fresher tires, I mean you got to go for it.
And maybe I could have waited a lap or 2. I don't know. But I mean, when you're getting that down close to the end, every lap I wait is a lap that I've abused the tires more, and I'm going to equal out with him more. So when I finally got that run out of 2 where I was kind of on his bumper, I had to try something. I had to. I showed the nose very early on to let him know. You know, it's not like I sneak attacked him. I showed him the nose very, very early, and I just committed to the corner. And once I committed, I mean, I have nowhere to go. I touched that apron, and I'm sent around. So, like I said, I mean, in my opinion, he came down, but that's just, I hate to use that meme, but it is. It's just Richmond racing at its finest. I mean, we see that all the time in turn 3 at Richmond. And I hate that it's a teammate, but I mean, at least he was very understanding of it both times. And we both come out to get a good spot with it. And he's still in the points championship. He's still got a easy way to that championship, in my opinion. So I know how good he is at Richmond. I told you last week how good he is at Richmond. And when I felt like I could somewhat keep up with him, I just kind of tried too hard, I guess. So second place, though, I'll take it. And again, sorry to Larry on that. Did not mean to do that, but at least he understood and he wasn't mad. We kind of almost laughed it off there at the end. But he definitely, if he gets me back in another race, I'll be completely understanding because I was the one driver to screw him over all race long. So I kind of feel bad on that one.
Yeah, I think I may have missed. I think that's the one I missed early on actually with the race because we were watching kind of through the field a little bit and poked up as like, hey, wait a second, Maxwell's leading, and then then kind of the same thing. Went back to go see what was going on back with the field again afterwards, and then it's like, oh, Larry's back in the lead. So yeah, unfortunately, I think I may have missed the earlier contact, but again, I mean, a really good run for you. Like you said, Richmond, you didn't feel like it was going to be maybe one of your strong suits for the race, but like you said, you're pretty much holding pretty steady with Larry all race long, maybe a tenth or so off. And like I said, the traffic definitely played a big role, but you did an awesome job though, getting that second place and being up in contention all race long as well. So let's say definitely something to keep your head high on that one, and then definitely want to give you a chance here. Any thanks, shout outs you'd like to give for that second place run?
I just shout out to my teammates, man. Andrew Pleshy, Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes. I know them two didn't have a very good night, but they tried their best with what they had. I think it strategy bit them on the caution coming out after the green flag stops. But just thankful for those guys and thankful for the league and you putting this on with the broadcast, and just thankful for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that allows me to be here every day and I'm able to run on Thursdays and give me the ability to do it. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I just can't get. I'm bummed out of what I did to Larry. I kind of just feel bad on that one. But second place, it's awesome. Larry deserved it more than me. So.
Yeah, it's when you got teammates. I mean, if you guys are up front week in week out, I mean, it's those things are bound to happen from time to time. So, like I said, I mean, you two looks like you guys already worked out pretty well. So, I wouldn't be too worried about it. And saying like you said, you've already talked to him, apologized. So, I mean, that's about I think the most you can hope for on that one. Like you said too, I'm sure Larry's probably probably finishing third probably takes a sting out a little bit of it as well to be able to still get a really good result on his side as well. So, but yeah, again, great job tonight though, Maxwell. I'll say, obviously you got a couple weeks off here over the Christmas and New Year's break, so definitely try to make the most of that and enjoy it, at least to the best of our abilities with everything going on. But yeah, great run tonight though, and look forward to chatting again with you here soon.
Absolutely. Everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see y'all at Darlington.
All right, that is the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Now we got to go find our race winner in that number 82 of Andrew Pileshi. So we watch him make his lap there after getting the win here tonight. So I'll say, do you kind of feel like the seas parted for you there coming to the end? So you I mean, first off, got the pole position. And Larry just doing Larry things on those starts of the races. So he did the same thing in Iowa, gets a really good start from the outside, able to keep the momentum up. So he doesn't even let the Pulsar get that first lap led, and then from there on, I mean, you were top 3, top 5 all race long. And then obviously the big change was for you. I mean, at the one point you had the contact with I think it was the lap car, I want to say, where you had to kind of recover from that a little bit as well. So I mean, I guess yeah. First, take us through the race, and then we'll obviously talk about the kind of the last quarter of the race, if you will, after that.
Well, the start of the race, I felt like I was taking it easy. I was just so excited to be on pole. I didn't want to mess it up, and yeah, he was really good on the outside. He always is everywhere. Iowa, Richmond, and yeah, it was just kind of definitely was not a winning car. It was a third place car the entire race. And then the contact ran third place for that whole run. And then the contact, it was just a lap car with faster tires. I partly, I guess, may have been at fault for that because I wasn't watching my mirrors as good as I should have been. And I got really lucky because half the field was like a lap down, and that caused the caution. So it reset everything, got everybody stacked up. I got fresh tires, and like I said, I had nothing on them too until they had their little incident. But other than that, it handled really good. Fun track, always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said, I mean, you're up there all race long. And say obviously, Larry and Maxwell say just were obviously a little bit maybe like that tenth or so more that you needed, kind of a thing. But and you were definitely in contention. Like you said, the way that caution fell, like you were one of the very few that were still on the lead lap. So yeah, you're able to get that get the tires and get back on track. Did you have any thoughts on the fast repair, or do you feel like you're just going to save it just in case, with the fact that of course that there's still maybe just under half the race remaining on that part?
Yeah, I had Charles look at the car after we got going again, and I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't hit the wall or nothing, I don't think. So yeah, I was definitely in the mindset of saving it because you never know what can happen in that last 30 or so laps.
Yeah, so definitely things can pick up at the end. So, I mean, again, I mean, a really good job for you. And then, I'd say in those last couple of restarts, I mean, take us through. Obviously, I'll say, like I said, you kind of see those two make contact, and you sneak on by before the caution comes out. I'd say from then, I'd say, were you at all worried about the restart, or were you feeling pretty good about knowing kind of who you had around you and what you had left in that car?
Definitely worried about the restart. I was afraid I was going to spin the tires. Like if you go back and watch like that whole like 1 to go lap, I was trying to like practice putting it in second gear and gunning it and seeing if it would spin, and it didn't really do too bad. And so I just kind of tried to get a good start and bang shift it like I was running a quarter mile, and it worked.
No, yeah, so yeah, you definitely had the we saw that on the restart. So say pretty much everybody who had control, you're able to kind of get that restart, get to the top, and I think that was probably a big part too. Were you able to get to the top to get that arc into turn number 1? Because if you kind of enter shallow, it's going to obviously hurt your exit as well. So you're able to kind of get all of that done, and then just from there, so you could tell that you had probably about a half a second from the rest of that part out. So I'm guessing once you got off of turn 2, you saw the gap behind you. You're feeling pretty good as long as you could get to that white flag.
Sure. As soon as I saw the gap, I was like, all right, just don't overdrive it, or don't overdrive it on exit. And I do that a lot, so I'm proud of myself that I didn't.
No, and I mean it sounds funny. You're exactly right. I mean I think this is one of the easiest tracks. I mean, again, with these cars, we're obviously used to the low horsepower, high downforce at the bigger tracks. When you come to tracks like we had the last few weeks with Phoenix, with Iowa, now Richmond, and so you got the low downforce, high horsepower, and so I mean, so you've got about 700 whatever horsepower underneath your foot there, and so it takes a lot of restraint basically not to kind of just stomp it and hope it sticks.
Oh yeah, I'm a much bigger fan of the high horsepower stuff than just to kind of hold it to the mat and turn left. It's a lot more driver based, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat with you there, and say it's fitting that that's going to be the setup that gets you the first one here at Area 51. Say Larry is mentioning, say wasn't surprised to see you. Figure you're going to get one this season. Was obviously able to get it done tonight here. But yeah, I mean, so again, like I say, congrats on the win, but say definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks, shouts you'd like to give for pulling off the win tonight?
Yeah, thanks. Oh, well, first I'd like to shout out. Thanks for having me here. First of all, and thanks for broadcasting the race. It's pretty cool you guys do that. I got buddies that watch and stuff. I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to thank my personal sponsor, BargainRocketLeagueHacks.net, and Taylor and Larry, and I call them Taylors, Maxwell, Maxwell and Taylor and Chad and all them guys. We all work together. Good racing. And yeah, thanks for the congratulations. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody, and party on.
Sounds good. So say good way to finish up before the year break, I should say. Obviously, still got some races to go before the end of season 6, but I say got a couple weeks off for Christmas and New Year, so be able to enjoy that win a little bit longer before we get back to action here in Darlington in January. So definitely enjoy your break as much as you can. I say take advantage of the time off as well, and then we'll definitely look forward to seeing you again back in January.
Can't wait to see you guys, Darlington. Thank you.
All right, as our race winner, the 82 of Andrew Pileshi. So while we watch him continue his celebration, we will go ahead and pull up our final results. So getting the win is that number 82 of Andrew Pileshi. Maxwell Caldwell still able to bring it home in third, just able to hold off the number 67 of Larry Yingling. So you saw him make that big move entering turn number 3 underneath Brandon Pasalaco and David Payton. Unfortunately, it looks like David Payton wound up worse for wear of those two in that move. He fell from around the 4th, 5th position down to 6th. Jim Brooks, we mentioned him having to take that lucky dog earlier in the race. He gets to back up into the top 5, so great recovery by him in that 76 machine. Again, we mentioned David as well, one of the few that was really able to work through the field there during that green flag run, so hats off to David as well. Really solid run for him. Same thing, Todd Merkel also does a great job moving his way back up into the top 10, into that 7th position towards the end. You also see James Ledford able to get himself up into the 8th. And Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes didn't have the nights they were looking for. Still wind up with top 10s, though, in 9th and 10th, respectively. 11th through 20th here, we've got Will Eastman, last car on the lead lap. Michael Spelliff, only car 1 lap down. Unfortunately, those that did not have the nights they were looking for, say 2 or more laps down, include Kevin Hash, Roy Grandy, Charles Johnson, Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson, Nicholas Winook, Robbie Richards, and Jason Bridges. I always hate when there's a page of someone off by themselves, but unfortunately, the 79 Ted Decker Jr., he retired early in the event. He'll finish in the 21st position. So with that, again, Andrew Pileshi getting his first Area 51 win here on the Cup Series tonight at Richmond. Exciting race, again, going caution-free over half the race. Again, hats off to the drivers for that. This is definitely not the kind of track you expect to see that at, so great job by all these drivers, just really wheeling those cars and doing what they need to do to try to keep that race under green. And obviously the first caution coming out, just kind of the mixed strategy of tires, fresher versus older. Those things happen all the time, but again, only 4 cautions out of the 100-lap race, so great job by those drivers. Only the 1 attempt of the green-white checkered finish tonight. Again, we'll be back on Sunday for the Super Speedway Cup Series. And then after that, we will be on that 2-week break until January. We'll definitely catch you on Sunday. As always, happy Friday Eve. Hope you all have had a good week. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to the end of the week, of course. And then, of course, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until Sunday, have a good night.